Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Michelle Lasowski. I'm a Partner Marketing Manager for Google Ads, and I'm going to be walking you through today's presentation on advertising with AdWords. Now, first, I want to remind everyone about the ads.getportal.com website. Hopefully, we're all already familiar with it, but for those of us who are not, this is a central place where you can access all information related to the Authorized Reseller Program, including all archived versions of the Master Seller webinars, insights into the enrollment process, sales trainings, marketing materials, and a lot more. So I encourage everyone to bookmark it and visit often for all updated information. Now, before we get started, I want to try a new feature we have in WebEx. It's a new polling feature. So I want to get a sense of how experienced we all are with AdWords. So everyone should now see a question appear on their screen asking how experienced you are with AdWords on a scale from 1 to 5. And I'm going to give everyone a few minutes to respond. Okay, so it looks like we're still waiting for a couple more of you. Okay, so it looks like a majority of people are in about the 2 to 3 range. They've either heard of AdWords and have some experience. So that's good to know, and I'll keep that in mind as we go through the rest of the webinar. So for today's agenda, we are going to start with AdWords basics, and it sounds like this is going to be helpful for a number of you. I want to make sure we all have a good foundation from which we can start thinking about how to create an effective campaign. And for that, we're going to go into the second agenda item, which is going to cover best practices for ad text, keyword, and landing page development. And then finally, we'll talk about conversion tracking and how you can measure success of your campaigns relative to your conversion goals. I'm going to try to stop along the way, probably at before each of these agenda items to take Q&A. Please remember to put all your questions in the Q&A chat box in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. By putting questions in the Q&A chat box, that's going to let us keep track of all the questions and make sure we can address them, hopefully live, and if not, via chat or in a follow-up email later on. So let's first look at the account structure for AdWords. Your account is the highest level, and at the account level, your settings are going to include your email address and password, so all your login information, billing information, and user preferences. Then within your account are going to be your campaigns. Now, campaigns carry a lot of settings, which you're going to want to familiarize yourself with, but some key settings to keep in mind are the start and end dates, the daily budget, distribution preferences, and language and location targeting. Let's take an example of a campaign one of our resellers might want to run, just to make sure we understand how each of these settings can apply to a real campaign. So let's say you're running a promotion on Google Apps for people in the state of California, and you want to run that during the month of August and only be running on the search network. In this case, you'd want to create a new campaign regionally targeted to the state of California with a start date of August 1st and an end date of August 31st. Since you only want to show when users are performing a search, you're going to want to opt out of the content network. We'll talk about these distribution preferences over the next few slides. Lastly, for your daily budget, this is going to allow you to control how much you spend a day. So I'm going to guess that most of you have a budget, which most of our advertisers do, and you're going to want to make sure that you stick to that budget, and your daily budget is going to allow you to do that. So within your campaigns are your ad groups, and an ad group's main purpose is to house ads and keywords based on themes. Ideally, the keywords within an ad group relate to a single theme and not to multiple topics. So later in this presentation, we'll talk about how to create separate ad groups for your different products and services. So a second ago, I talked about your distribution preferences, and those are going to control where your ads show. Now, the Google network is split into 2 parts. There's the search network and the content network. Now, for the search network, most of you are going to be familiar with this network. For here, search campaigns are triggered by keywords and are shown on search results pages on Google.com and within our search network. And you can see on the screen here that other partners within our search network include AOL and some other big search providers. And our network is certainly larger than this, but this is an example of some places where your ad can show. The second part of the Google network is called content, because ads are shown on pages when they're relevant to the content of that page. And here you can see an example of an ad being shown on the Search Domino section within our content network. So here, a user searching for online information within the Search Domino section. They're not typing any keywords into a search box, but there is potential for a relevant AdWords ad, which is circled there, to show up on web pages within the network. There are two main ways to target ads to the content network. First, with contextual targeting, we're going to do the targeting for you. The AdWords system will automatically target your ads to the most relevant sites and page placements based on a given page's content and your chosen keywords. Alternatively, you can choose your own placements. With placement targeting, you select the sites and ad placements on specific web pages where you'd like your ads to appear. Now, there's a number of options for serving on the content network, and you can learn more at google.com/AdWords/content network. Okay, so now that we have a good base, let's move into campaign creation tips, which are going to cover best practices for developing your ad text, keywords, and landing pages. Now, part of the reason we wanted to make sure all our resellers were aware of the advertising options through AdWords is because trademark policies recently changed in the U.S. Policy now permits the use of trademark terms in ad text in specific circumstances. Ultimately, what this means is that for resellers, you can now use Google Apps and related trademark terms in your ad text if you follow requirements outlined in the policy. I'm not going to go into a lot of specifics about this policy, but I strongly encourage everyone to take a look. You'll notice that the word trademark policy on this slide is hyperlinked, and that's going to take you to the section of the Help Center that's going to go into detail about what requirements you need to follow to ensure that your ads are going to get approved for use of Google trademarks in ad text. Now, keep in mind that these policies relate to all external advertisers and not just those that are part of the Apps Authorized Reseller Program. So that means that resellers outside the U.S. are not able to take advantage of the policy. We're reviewing options for resellers in these other regions, but as of right now, Google trademark terms are not permitted in ad text outside the U.S. Now, for those of you who are joining us from outside the U.S., I think you're going to find that today's presentation is still useful. We're going to look at a lot of examples that are specific to the Apps Reseller Program, but really all of the best practices are going to apply no matter what types of products or services you offer. Now, before we talk about ad text, keyword, and landing page creation, I want to make sure we're all aware and able to visualize the big picture. Relevance is the key to success with AdWords, and this needs to be carried through to all aspects of your campaign. You want to provide a positive user experience from beginning to end, and this requires that you create a tightly integrated campaign. You can see that in the example here that the keyword, ad text, and landing page are all relevant and related to each other. Here, users searching for Google Apps support, and this is highlighted both in the ad and in the call to action on the landing page. You can see it circled there. There's a button that says Get Support. Ultimately, this strategy is going to lead to more qualified traffic, higher conversion rates, and better leads. So as we move throughout this presentation, I want everyone to keep in mind the big picture and how important it is to make sure that all aspects of your campaign are relevant to each other. How do you write an effective ad? As you learned earlier, your ad text is an important way to ensure a good user experience and quality clicks. Some things that you're going to want to keep in mind when writing an effective ad are to make sure that your ad text distinguishes you from the competition. And we're going to talk about some tips to accomplish this in the next few slides. Communication, appearance, and style are important. You have limited character space. There's 25 character limit in the headline and then 35 characters in each description line. You want to make sure you utilize this space to offer valuable information and to make sure your ad looks presentable. Try to utilize all this space to offer as much information as possible in your ad and ensure that you get quality traffic to your website. Finally, you want to be persuasive and informative and entice users to click. A key way that you can accomplish this is by including a strong call to action, which we'll talk about in a few slides. So back to the first point, trying to make sure that your ad is distinguished from the competition. And you can do this by clearly stating the product or service that's being promoted and by including your company name and additional services offered. You can see in our first example here, labeled Good. Our ad says, Google Apps from LTech. We offer services to help you deploy Google Apps. Contact us. Now this ad includes the partner's name, clearly states the product being offered, and it highlights deployment services to distinguish the ad from the competition. Now another benefit of making sure that you are clear about the product being offered is that you're going to get more quality clicks, which is ultimately going to lead to better conversion rates and better leads. Now the second ad, I think it's clear probably why that ad's not going to be as effective. It doesn't include the partner's name, so it's not helping you brand your company or helping you stand out from the other ads. And it's also unclear what product is being offered. So when a user clicks on this ad, they're likely to immediately exit your site because they're not going to be given what they're looking for. Now part of our Google branding guidelines ensures that you should accurately represent the relationship you have with Google. As you can see in the example here, in the first ad, get started today with help from a Google Apps authorized reseller. As you all know, this is an approved designation for authorized resellers in our program. Now the second ad, most trusted reseller, is not a claim that's been substantiated by Google, and that's not a claim that you should use in your ad text. Now, one of the most important elements of writing effective ads is to try to include your keyword in the ad title or somewhere in your ad text. You want to really try to think like a customer. If you as a customer are searching for IT solutions and you see the two ads highlighted on the screen, which one would you be more likely to click on? Most Google users prefer the bottom one with IT solutions in the ad title. A lot of times users are going to scan through the ads and they're going to focus on the headline and they're going to focus on key terms within your ad. And likely if terms in your ad match the keyword that was searched on, you're going to have a better click-through rate. Now another benefit of including the keyword in ad text is that the terms are going to be bolded, and it's going to help your ad stand out even more. So you can see in the example here, IT solutions is bold in that second ad because that's part of the keyword that the user searched on. Now back to the third point of ad text creation, which is to entice users to click. It's really important that you include a strong call to action, and it's important that that call to action relates specifically to the action you want customers to take once they reach their site. For this reason, if we go back to the big picture, you want to make sure that your landing page clearly states what users need to do to perform that action. Now I've included a couple examples here. You're certainly not limited to these calls to action. But there's some ideas I came up with that might be effective for some of our resellers' AdWords ads. So you can see here we have contact us, download a free white paper, get info, get support, get started, and learn more. Now again, this call to action should be telling a user what you want them to do once they reach your landing page. So for that reason, it's important to avoid meaningless slogans, meaningless and gimmicky slogans such as click here and visit us. This is not informing the customer what it is you want them to do once they reach your site. Another important piece to writing effective ad text is to make sure your display URL stands out. This is easily done by capitalizing the first letter of each word within the URL, as you can see in the example here. A lot of our advertisers have found that this has helped them get better click-through rates as it's helped their ads stand out even more. It's also going to help you brand your company name and increase awareness. Now, we recommend testing both versions of your display URL before deciding what works best for your campaign. And testing is critical for all parts of the ad, not just the display URL. So we've talked a little bit about specific Google designations, such as Apps Authorized Reseller. We've also talked about including value-added services, such as deployment or training services if you provide those. And testing is a great way to figure out what's going to work best for you and for your business. If you take a look at the examples here, you can see multiple ads that could be included in one ad group. All the ads shown here contain a strong but different call to action and highlight something different about the reseller. Now, throughout this presentation, we're going to offer a lot of suggestions, but testing is ultimately the best way to find out what works. So take these best practices, apply them to your ads, but always be sure that you test multiple messages in a single ad group. Unfortunately, the AdWords system makes it easy for you to test different ads. At the campaign level, there's a feature to automatically optimize your ad text. The way this works is that when you have more than one ad in an ad group, the system's going to show the ads evenly at first, but then it's going to begin to favor the ad that achieves a better click-through rate. You can set the AdWords system to favor the higher performing ad by showing it more often, and that's the option that's checked here in the screenshot on this slide. Now, before we move into keywords, I wanted to see if we had any questions. I see one question about using a Google Apps account for AdWords. I'm not 100% certain what you mean here. You will have to create a separate AdWords account. And in a follow-up email after the webinar, I'll send everyone a link to AdWords so that you can get started creating an account. And we're also going to offer everyone coupons, $50 coupons to help you get started. So you will have to create a separate account. You certainly could use the same contact email address that's associated with your AdWords account, or I'm sorry, with your Google Apps account, but your AdWords account will be separate. Okay, so let's get back to how we choose effective keywords. This part's crucial for creating a successful campaign. You really want to think of keywords from the perspective of a potential customer. Think about what they'll be searching for when they're looking for your products or services. Listed here are some best practices for doing this. First, you want to make sure your keywords accurately reflect the products or services being offered on your site. If you're running on Google Apps related keywords, then your landing page should be dedicated to promoting offerings related to Google Apps. Second, you want to match what your audience is looking for. Again, put yourself in the shoes of the potential customer when you're deciding if a keyword is relevant or not. Would a customer who's looking for your offerings search for this keyword? And this goes back also to ensuring that your keyword, your ad, and your landing page are all relevant and are all promoting the same types of offerings. And lastly, you want to capture a large audience without being too general. And I think that this is a really critical component of a strong keyword list. You need to strike a balance between having keywords that are going to drive a lot of traffic to your site, but also making sure that they're relevant and they're specific to the offerings and services that you provide. Now, when you're considering the types of keywords that are relevant for your business, there's a variety of keywords that our resellers can keep in mind. If you're specifically promoting the resale of Google Apps, there's a number of features that users may be looking for their specific business. And you can see those features are going to include everything that's bundled under Google Apps, including email, our collaboration tools such as Docs and Spreadsheets, video sharing, and sites. Many of our resellers also provide value-added services such as consulting, training, deployment, and setup and support. Once you know which categories of keywords are relevant, you're going to want to start building out your keyword list. Now, once you do this, you're going to want to keep in mind keyword length. Shown on the screen here is some data that indicates user search with multi-phrases. You're going to see that about 70% of traffic in the U.S. searches on 2, 3, and 4 keyword phrases. You'll notice fewer people search on one-word phrases, and while there are going to be exceptions, a good rule of thumb is that one-word keywords are often going to be too general, and they're not going to drive quality traffic to your site. You'll also see that when you get into 5, 6, and 7-word keyword phrases, the amount of traffic dramatically drops. So again, this is to the third point. You want to be specific, but also be sure that you're capturing a large audience. And to do that, 2, 3, and 4 keyword phrases are often going to be the best solution. When choosing your keywords, you want to keep in mind that customers search differently in different stages of the buying cycle. This is going to be especially relevant to Google Apps because there's often a longer buying cycle than there is with some other products. So if a customer is in the research stage of the buying cycle, he or she might type in a more general keyword such as business email. Then as they move down to the funnel to the consideration and comparison phase, they're going to search on keywords such as compare business email or maybe even review business email. And for both these keyword categories, at this point you want to make sure that you're providing users with the email solutions you provide. Then finally, at the buying stage, customers tend to search on more specific keywords such as by Google Apps. And here you really want to make sure that your landing page is specific to Google Apps and clearly shows the breadth of your offerings related to the products and services you offer for Google Apps. Ideally, you'll have a good mix of keywords from all stages of the buying cycle to capture the most traffic. Now, this will depend on your advertising goals that you've identified prior to creating your campaign. Now, Google does offer a keyword tool. It's called the Search-Based Keyword Tool, and you can find it at the URL there at the bottom, which is www.google.com/sktool. And the Search-Based Keyword Tool is going to help give you ideas and build out a strong keyword list. It'll provide ideas based on actual Google search results, and you can generate that list by inputting your website URL, in which case the tool will look at the content of your website and offer suggestions based on it. Or you can put in a single keyword, and it's going to provide variations and synonyms for that particular keyword. Now, the Search-Based Keyword Tool is a great place to start when you're building out your keyword list, but you definitely want to make sure you vet the suggestions that it offers. Not everything is necessarily going to be relevant to what you're offering, so you want to make sure that you give everything a second look and you only include the keywords that are going to work for your campaign. Now, I don't want to go into too much detail here, but I do want to make sure that everyone's aware of the different keyword match types. Broad match is just that. It's the broadest match type, and it's also the default. So if you add keywords, they will all default to broad match unless you specify differently. And with broad match, your ads can show on similar phrases and relevant variations. Phrase match is a slightly more specific match type. It's going to allow your ad to show on searches that include the exact word order of the keywords in your account. And then finally, exact match will allow your ads to only show when searchers match the exact keyword inputted by the user. Now, I think negative keywords are going to be effective for everyone here. They're going to ensure that your ad doesn't show for any searches that include that term. So a good example is the word free. I'm going to guess that most of our resellers are not offering their products and services for free. And because of that, you want to make sure that your ad does not show up when a user includes the term free within the ad. So for example, if they're looking for free email support, assuming that you do charge for that type of support, you'll want to include free as a negative keyword in your account, and that will ensure that your ad does not show. Now finally, let's talk about keyword groups and how to structure your keywords. This is really a critical component of building out a strong campaign because it's what allows you to make sure that your keywords are specific to your ad. And going back to the big picture, that's ultimately going to be critical for success and to get qualified leads. So you'll see the ad group on the left is labeled as a bad ad group because there are too many themes. IT solutions, business email, and app support are all related, but you can also use a much more unified theme. Because they're related, but they're not all a unified theme, you're going to have to use a more generic ad. So you can see the ad there is not necessarily specific to IT solutions or app support, but you've had to use a generic ad because you don't have a unified theme. On the right side, we do see a unified theme with the keyword migrate to apps, Google Apps migration, and apps migration. This allows you to create ads that are specifically targeted to the keywords that trigger them, and this is ultimately going to lead to increased click-through rates and better performance overall. Now, let's talk about how we can create a good landing page. Keep in mind that if users don't quickly see what they clicked on your ad to find, they're going to leave your site frustrated and they may never return. So you really want to capitalize on every click by making sure that you show users exactly what it is they're looking for. In general, you're going to want to build pages that provide substantial and useful information to the end user. You should provide as much information as you can beyond what your ad describes. For example, if your ad mentions migration services for apps, your landing page should detail the specific type of migration help you provide and any other pertinent information such as costs. Next, you should make your call to action clear. We've talked about including a strong call to action within the ad, and that strong call to action should be evident on your landing page. You should really make it obvious where a user can go to perform that action. And finally, make your site easy to navigate. And this relates to your call to action, because if your site's easy to navigate, users are going to be able to quickly and easily access the information they need and then move on to whatever event it is that you want them to perform on the site. Now, as many of you are probably going to use AdWords for lead generation, my guess is that you're going to be collecting personal information. Now, most internet users are very concerned with understanding and controlling how websites use their personal information. So part of making your site easy to navigate and to build trust with your user, you're going to want to make sure that you provide clear answers to the questions: why are you collecting personal information? How will you use it? And what options do users have to easily limit the use of their personal information? Now, we offer a number of assets in the branding and collateral section of the apps.getportal.com website to help you build out a good landing page. And this is just a quick screenshot of the apps.getportal.com website. And you'll see that I've circled in the left navigation there the branding and collateral link. And so you can go there to access all the assets that we're going to talk about in the next few slides. Now, here's a sample landing page for a fictitious partner, Acme Inc., and it uses a number of assets that are currently available to all our resellers. You're going to want to work with your webmaster to build out a landing page based on what fits best for your business. So if we look at this landing page in a little bit more detail, I want to call out some of the specific assets from the apps.getportal.com website that you can use and how they've been applied to Acme's website here. So first, you'll find available a number of Google logos, icons, and authorized reseller badges. In the upper right-hand corner of the Acme site, you're going to see the authorized reseller badge. You'll also see that the icons for each of the products within Google Apps are highlighted there in the middle on the left. And that's the section where you're informing the user what products are included in Google Apps and helping them learn more about Google Apps as a whole. We also offer a customizable data sheet, third-party report, savings calculator, case studies, which are highlighted on the bottom left there. You can access existing customer case studies for Google Apps. You can also create your own success stories, which can be submitted through the Solutions Marketplace. And we're going to post them on the blog there for other customers to find your own success stories. And then finally, we offer videos, which you can see on the bottom right corner there. And these videos are a really effective and engaging way to help users quickly understand what Google Apps is and everything that's included within it. Now, you never know what exactly is going to work for your landing page. So just like with your ad text, you want to continually test. Google offers a tool called Website Optimizer that makes testing landing pages really easy. And you can see there's a link at the bottom there that you can go to sign up and use the Website Optimizer tool. Under that, I've also provided a link to a number of website optimization articles. These are great articles to read if you're interested in optimizing your landing page and you want to know specifically what your options are and what different things you should test. Now, one of those articles highlights the top 5 elements to test on any given landing page. And I've included a screenshot of the current Google Apps homepage here to see how those elements are highlighted on a live website. So first, you can see testing the headline or the title is a critical component. You might want to test length or the specific message that you offer. Images can also make a big difference on your website. You can see here the Google Apps homepage uses small icons to help users see the various products that are included, whether it's email or collaboration tools. Now, the layout of your site is also really important, and this goes back to one of the points that we talked about with best practices for creating a landing page, and that's to make sure that your site is easy to navigate. So testing the layout of your site will really help you accomplish this. Next, you'll want to talk about selling propositions, or you'll want to test these. Quality versus convenience is just one example of a selling proposition that you might want to test. Convenience, for that, you might want to focus on the fact that you're a local reseller or that you offer 24/7 support. Alternatively, if you want to focus on quality, you could talk about how you have superior expertise in the field and strong customer service. And then lastly, you're going to want to test your conversion incentives. One conversion incentive that's popular for products such as Google Apps is the download of a free white paper. And all of these different incentives you should test, along with what your call to action is. You might want to experiment with providing a telephone number versus an online form. Now we're going to take a look at a landing page exercise, but before we do that, I just want to remind everyone one more time about the big picture. Our keywords, our ad text, our landing page should all be relevant and should all provide the same type of information to lead to qualified leads and ultimately to better conversions. So let's go through a landing page exercise. What would be a good landing page if a user searched on the keyword Google Apps? And you'll see we have 3 options listed here, and we'll go through which option is going to be the best. So the first option is display a list of all services and solutions you offer. Sometimes it's tempting for advertisers to want to quickly showcase everything it is that they offer to customers in case that they're going to be interested in something else. But in this case, the customer has specifically indicated that they're interested in Google Apps. So that type of landing page is not going to be ideal. For that type of landing page, you're going to want to focus on slightly more general keywords such as IT solutions, tech solutions, and IT consulting. This is going to, for these types of keywords, the user hasn't indicated what solution it is they're looking for, so it's appropriate to use a landing page that shows the breadth of your offering. Now, option number 2, display your single sign-on product for apps, is also not going to be ideal. We're going to the other extreme here. That type of landing page is going to be a little bit too specific. Someone's looking for Google Apps. You want to show them everything you offer related to Google Apps and not just a single product. For this type of landing page, you're really going to want to use very specific keywords such as app sign-on solution, and single sign-on. So as we may have all guessed, the third option is the right option, and that's to display all the products and services you offer that are related to Google Apps. This way you can show the breadth of your offerings, but you're still being specific to what the user's interested in, and that's Google Apps. Some other keywords that could be relevant for this type of landing page are going to be app services, apps products, and app support. And many of our resellers are local, and you might want to target users specifically in your area, and there's 2 ways to do this with the AdWords system. First, you can use region-specific keywords in a nationally targeted campaign. So for this example, you're targeting the entire United States, but you're using keywords that have a local qualifier, such as New Jersey IT services. Even though you're targeting the entire United States, you know that a user is interested in services specifically in your region because of the type of keyword that they searched on. Now the second option is to only show ads in your region. So for this example, you'd create a regionally targeted campaign targeted to the state of New Jersey, but you would use a more general non-region specific keyword such as IT services. In this case, we don't need to use the region name in the keyword because we already know that only users in our region are able to see our ad. Now for this second option, it's important to keep in mind that when you target a specific region, the region name is going to automatically appear below your ad. You can see in this example, the ad scene is geo-targeted to the state of New Jersey, and so that's highlighted in an additional 5th line of ad text, which is automatically added to your ad. Because of this, I recommend utilizing your character space with a shorter designation such as local, and not using your ad text to tell a user where you're located, because you're already accomplishing that through this 5th line of ad text which is added. So you can see in the example here, Google Apps from LTech, get started today with a local Google Apps authorized reseller. And then with the region targeting below it, New Jersey, users are able to see where LTech is located. Now, the last piece of our agenda is going to be conversion tracking. And we've talked a lot throughout the presentation about testing, and conversion tracking is going to be key in making sure that you can test keywords, ad text, and landing page relative to the conversion goals that you identify. Within your AdWords account, you're going to be able to activate conversion tracking. And you can see a screenshot of an account here. You're going to want to go to the Tools section in the upper green bar, and from there you're going to want to choose Conversion Tracking. To start using conversion tracking, you will need to put a snippet of code on your website, and most of you are going to need to use your webmaster to do this. And once that code is on your website, you're going to be able to get key metrics directly within your site. And again, this is a critical component in testing what works and what your ROI is for a given keyword or ad. So let's take a look at a specific example for the keywords IT solutions and business solutions, both which trigger the same ad seen here. At first glance, the keyword business solutions appears to be performing the best since it's driving substantially more traffic and conversions. However, because we have conversion tracking in place, and because the AdWords account is going to show us all these metrics directly within our account, we can quickly see that the cost per acquisition, or CPA, is actually much higher for the keyword business solutions. It's actually almost 5 times higher than it is for IT solutions, $20 versus $98. Because of this, you want a lower cost on the keyword business solution. And you can do this by testing different messages or specific elements of your landing page, and potentially by lowering the cost per click bid that you have for that particular keyword. Now, because we're nearing the end, I'm going to bring everyone back to the big picture again. I know I keep coming back to this, but this is really critical, and I think it's a key place where advertisers often fall a little bit short. You want to always make sure that you have a tightly integrated campaign and that your keywords, your ad text, and your landing page are all relevant and related to each other. And ultimately, you're going to find that you get better conversions, you get more qualified leads at the end of the day. So we've gone through a lot of slides, and a lot of you might be asking, what do I do again? So let's recap all the steps we've walked through on how to create an effective campaign. You want to start by visualizing the big picture, which we just saw, and creating relevant keywords, ad text, and landing pages. Next, you always want to keep testing. Don't stop testing. The best practices we reviewed here have been found to work well for other advertisers, but ultimately you need to test what's ideal for you and for your business. Then use the reporting tools we've talked about, such as Website Optimizer and conversion tracking, to measure your results. And finally, refine campaigns based on these results, keep what's working, and discard what's not. Now, I want to encourage everyone to keep learning. This is just a big tip of the iceberg, but there's a lot more great information on AdWords and how to run an effective campaign, and you have a number of resources at your disposal, so keep learning. You can see I've listed here a couple of those resources. You have the AdWords Learning Center, which is going to offer free multimedia lessons on a variety of topics, ranging from targeting to advanced conversion tracking to the billing process. So regardless of how much experience you have with AdWords, I think you're going to find the Learning Center to offer a lot of great information. You can also access the AdWords Help Center listed here, or the AdWords Help Forum, which is another good place to go if you're interested in what other advertisers are doing. You can share best practices, post questions, and once you start getting more familiar with AdWords, you can even answer questions that other advertisers post. And then finally, if you have specific questions about your account, you can contact the AdWords support team through the link you see on this screen. So with that, I think we have a couple more questions. Remember, if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A chat box in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. So one question we have, would it be fair to offer resellers a discount or other advantage since ad success means revenue for Google? Well, ultimately, we want our resellers to be successful, and that's why we're doing this webinar. I think AdWords has been found to be an extremely effective channel, especially for lead generation, for many of our advertisers. And as I mentioned earlier, we are going to be offering a $50 coupon, which I'll send to everyone in a follow-up email after this webinar to help you get started. So we are trying to get you started on the right foot by giving the coupon and by providing this webinar with all of the AdWords best practices. Will we be discussing how to read and decipher reports? That's a really great question. So being able to understand reports and to analyze the data you see in your account is a really critical component, especially as you're testing different keywords, ad text, and landing page. That unfortunately could be an entire webinar in itself, so we're not going to go through that today. But again, I encourage you to take a look at the resources that you still see here on the screen, because I think you're going to find a lot of good information there on how to decipher reports and understand the data that you will see in your account. So it looks like that's all the questions for now. We will be on for another 5 or 10 minutes taking questions via chat and following up via email later on if we don't get to everything. And with that, one more reminder about the apps.getportal.com website, where we will be posting a copy of this presentation and a recorded version of the webinar. Thanks for joining us, everyone.